today on Divorce Court.
Trevor has a really bad anger problem. He's like 0 to 100 in about 5 seconds.
I feel like she's always looking for male attention, and I guess mine isn't enough.
I feel like his jealousy has gotten out of hand because he's had me download GPS apps to my phone to follow me.
Andrea, you need to quit dressing like an escort. You're a mom. Grow up.
I don't feel like it's an issue, the money I spend when it's my money, because it's my money.
Andrea, we don't have $1,000 to spend on hair. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I love him more than anything in the world, but if he can't stay sober and be an equal partner with me in the relationship, then I can't continue trying.
Divorce Court is now in session.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with Andrea Ketterling and Trevor Ketterling. Mr. and Mrs. Ketterling, you have been married for 9 months, but you've been together for 2.5 years. You're already in trouble. You've come here to see if I could get a second set of eyes on it. You have no children together, but each of you have some children from previous relationships. Mrs. Ketterling, I'm going to start with you. Tell me what's gone wrong in this 9 months.
Well, we've had a lot of different issues. There's been substance abuse, financial matters, a lot of trust and jealousy issues and anger issues. In my background, I used to be an escort. Mm-hmm. It was before him and I had gotten together.
Right.
But our community kind of knows about it. Mm-hmm. It happened to be on the news.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's unfortunate. Most don't. And that's unfortunate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. So a lot of his friends know about it and have said things to him, which I can see how that can make it a little harder for him to trust me. But yeah, so I can't really, if I ever leave the house without him, it's, what are you doing? Where are you at? I have to video call him from wherever I am just to prove where I am.
Every time?
About every time, yeah. It's hard.
Tell me the most outrageous jealousy story that you have when he got the most upset about something that wasn't really going on.
He was being really paranoid, so he had me download a GPS tracker app to my phone so he could watch my every movement. It would even tell him if my phone was charged. It would notify him if I was at school or at home.
He got notifications.
Yeah.
As to your, Mr. Ketterling, is that accurate?
That is accurate, Your Honor. It was completely a voluntary thing. I did ask if we could do that. This was after a series of events. There was a reason that there wasn't trust there.
Tell me what the reason was. What was the event?
Messages to other guys that had been found, pictures that were sent to people. There was, and on top of that, obviously, the stuff I had heard from people around town that's known. But there was reasons, and on top of that, her jealousy is intense. It became where I feel like I started to be jealous because she was. So, for instance, I had to live under such strict rule of what I was doing. Like, if I walked in a store and I saw a girl sitting there, if I wasn't looking at the floor, I was flirting.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. And I feel like she was just jealous like that because I think she was the one being shady.
Given her history that she was engaged in being an escort, does that inform your jealousy at all? Do you throw it up at her? Do you still wonder about it? Does it make you angry?
We tried to, start with a clean slate. I knew about it and said, you know what, I can work with this. I've had my set of issues too. I don't want to judge you by what's happened in the past. But yeah, there's always that still looming in your head. It definitely is a thought that I have.
Mrs. Ketterling, does he ever bring that up when you're having arguments or discussion about other things? Does your past come up as a weapon?
Yeah. If I'm not telling him what I'm doing, he'll text me a million times, just calling me a bunch of names.
Like what kind of names?
The B word, the W word, the C word, just any word, really.
Any word that's denigrating to a woman he uses.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Ketterling, you say that's not true? I mean,
I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I have called her names before. I do not send her messages ever calling her the W or anything like that. I've used the B a lot. W has came up in heated fights. I don't just send her messages because she's not there about that. If I said it, there was at least a reason, and that doesn't justify the language. I'm just saying I wouldn't just text her because I didn't know where she was right then, call her names like that.
Does it bother you when your friends talk to you about her past?
Absolutely. And most of the time, I think they're doing it with good intentions, and unfortunately, we live in a small enough community.
What good intentions? What are they trying to do?
I mean good intentions in the way of not saying that kind of stuff. It's sometimes they won't even say it directly. I'll bring up that that's who I'm with, and they're all, oh, and you can see the look like we know what she's about, or that was.
When that happens, what do?
You know, if it's not them being disrespectful, I take it for what it is. You know, it just depends, I guess, on the level they're talking to me about.
What it is.
What do you think he does?
He just sits there. He never defends me in it. He just sits there.
See, Mr. Kettle, let me tell you something. If you take it for what it is, it means you haven't put a period on it in your mind.
Right.
And because if you like, this is my woman, and I don't care what she did. Hey, I'll talk about who she was. That's who you defend, and that means you're really good with it. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, I know she's a bit of a hoe. Yeah, you know what I mean. That means you're still working with it and cowering to it. But if you're beyond it, it's like that was her past. That was who she was. You defend her. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
When you say she's outrageously jealous, tell me the worst thing that she's ever done. You said about, you can't look around in a store.
I got an example, Your Honor. There was a time, okay, for instance, we were at a drive-through restaurant, okay? We're ordering something. There was a comment made about, let's say, the color of a taco and how that could relate to a woman's anatomy. It was a kind of inappropriate joke that somehow started that they said to me through the speaker, and I kind of laughed. We joked about it, whatever. As we're pulling up, she's like, "Why don't you get her number?" Like I was flirting through a speaker with something I didn't know who was. I didn't know who I was talking to. It was a girl's voice, so I was cheating. She said, "Get her number." Or if I walk into a grocery store, and I'm not staring at the floor, I'm in trouble. Like, you're staring at her, why don't you just go get her number? Excessive jealousy, and I've always felt like if I have to live under such intense, jealous rules, so do you. And that's where my crazy, I think, kind of came from and stuff.
Okay, Ms. Ketterling, are you overly jealous? Do you put those kind of restrictions on him?
Yes, I do.
And where does that come from?
It's embarrassing to me if we're ordering food and he's sitting there talking about pink tacos to the speaker with some girl in the drive-thru. Like, that's embarrassing to me.
Your Honor,
like,
I didn't initiate that.
We're ordering food. Why do you need to talk like that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this. If she was ordering some hot dogs, the other guy on the things would start having a conversation with double entendres about that hot dog. That'd bother you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
So it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. I don't know why nobody ever figures that out. But it's the same thing. I understand that jealousy isn't the only issue. We've got issues of sobriety, anger, and drinking, and that's what I want to turn to now.
He'll take anything I say out of context and freak out. Like he's the Hulk in 0 to 100, just fast, and there's nothing I can do to defuse the situation.
Mrs. Ketterling, you say Mr. Ketterling drinks a lot, and that is affecting your relationship. Why don't you tell me why that is?
It's not that he drinks a lot, it's that when he drinks, he gets angry.
Okay. Mr. Ketterling, are you a grumpy drunk?
Your Honor, I am guilty of that at times, yeah. I do have short patience when I'm drinking. Not violent kind of anger, but yeah, I can be mean, I can be more make rude jokes or yeah. I come off in ways that I guess I don't realize I'm doing if I'm drinking.
Tell me what is the most distressing story you have that demonstrates his anger while drinking.
He'll take anything I say out of context and freak out. Like he's the Hulk in 0 to 100, just fast, and there's nothing I can do to defuse the situation besides, you're right, I'm sorry. It's just, I mean, he gets mad and throws stuff, breaks stuff.
Mr. Ketterling, do you find that distressing that you engage in that kind of conduct when you're drunk?
Your Honor, it does. So I've been sober for 6 months. I just want to bring up, for starters, there's a long history of progression from high school and on, and it led to a lot heavier things than just drinking even. I admittedly have had a lot of substance abuse and drinking problems, and so I would prefer, I guess I don't feel like it's fair that it still gets thrown in my face because I know that I'm not the greatest person when I'm using, drinking, any of that. I'm not the same person I'm even in right now. And so I don't feel like now that's relevant to our relationship.
Okay, I got you. Has he been sober for 6 months?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been exuberant about that?
I try to be happy. It's just in the past there's been so many times that it's...
Yeah, no, I know because it's difficult to live with an addict. Addicts are they're wholly different people. When someone does a run at sobriety, you cheer like you've lost your mind. because the risk of relapse is always there. If you live in the fear of it instead of in the hope and the joy of it, then you're going to exacerbate the opportunity to relapse. You with me? What I'm saying? You know, sober again today, baby, loving that. You know, just whatever you gotta do you've gotta be, and he got to bring joy to his life while he's sober, so sober is happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't, and I understand you've had a lot happen to you, and you got your defenses up, and you gotta understand that about a lot has happened. And you know, when a woman has been into escorting or prostitution or wherever she's been in, that label, that scarlet A sticks to her. And people never forgive her. Once you've gone down that road, a lot of times, girls don't just say, hey, let me go be a prostitute. Stuff happens to people, and they do that as a last resort. You don't get mad at the Johns, you're still mad at her. You don't get mad at the person who did whatever to her that sent her in that direction, and that happened, right? You get mad at her because she fell. She's the most vulnerable person in the situation, and you stay mad about it, because that defines her. It's a societal thing. I know I've gone off track, but I don't care. You want her to applaud your 6 months of sobriety? You need to applaud her how many years of she hasn't been an escort anymore, and defend her to her friends and be about who she is and not the victim that she used to be. You with me on that one? So now let's talk about money.
There was a time that we were broke. We had like nothing, and she was getting hair extensions. And after the fact, I was told that she spent $300 or $400 on it, and come to find out she'd lied and paid $1,000
for hair.
And we couldn't eat the next week. I mean, we weren't surviving.
Who wants to tell me about your financial circumstances and why it's a problem?
Your Honor, I got a problem we can talk about. It's been the biggest problem we've had is just irresponsible spending. You know, for instance, we got like $1,500 to live off of. She could spend $1,200 of it in beauty stuff. There was a time that we were broke. We had like nothing, and she was getting hair extensions, and I got a bogus story. After the fact, I was told that she spent $300 or $400 on it, and come to find out she'd lied and paid $1,000 for hair. And we couldn't eat the next week. I mean, we weren't surviving. You know, but she had hair.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah,
it's good.
You're starving, but you're looking good while you're doing it.
Right.
Mrs. Ketterling, do you spend money on your cosmetic situation before the basic bills are handled?
Okay, so during this time, I had my own money, and I paid what bills we had. While he was off running and gunning, do whatever he wanted to do, I still had to sit at home and make sure everything was taken care of. So yeah, I had my own money from school, and I got myself hair extensions. Yes, I lied to him about how much it costs because I didn't want to sit there and fight about it, and why should I when it's my money?
Yeah, and I get that it's your money, but is your household, were your household bills covered before you went out and did that with your money?
At that time, yes.
Are you sure?
There's been plenty of other times when no, but at that time, when I spent that big amount, yes.
Yeah.
The next month, we didn't have money to pay for your car. Okay, we couldn't pay for your car because you had hair.
That was the next month. I wasn't worried.
Well, it was within a month, regardless. You would have had your car payment paid. That's still in the same period, you know.
Yeah. You know, that was the next month. That's frightening to me, Mrs. Ketterling.
I know.
That, you know, if you're okay for that month, you can just blow the rest of your money and worry about next month. That's not a road to security. You know, I know that the world has told you your value is in what you look like. I understand that. I get the world tends to tell that to women a lot, but that ain't it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I ain't got no hair, but you should see my bank account. You want to talk about power? You want to talk about owning your own and being respected? Get enough money, won't nobody say nothing to you. Right. You with me?
Yes.
If you could get me to get him to do one thing that you think would save this marriage, what would it be?
Just to be equal with me in the marriage.
When you say equal, what do you mean?
Pay the bills with me, take care of the kids with me.
Take responsibility for Mr. Ketterling. What do you say about that?
I want to ask you, since I've been sober, have I not the
He
best I
has-
could
he
financially
has been
taking care of
He's
everything?
honestly he's come up, okay, I could say that he's been working harder in the past 6 months than he has our entire relationship. And
gotcha.
the most important thing is, I think, for him staying sober, obviously.
Let me tell you what I think you need to do. It ain't about the fall, it's about the comeback. You know what I mean? It's never been about the fall. Anybody can fall. I've fallen, you know, in different ways. Shows for everybody falls. It's about the comeback. You two are in the comeback period, still tagging each other for the fall. And I want you to stop that. You know, you can't say in the past, if he's doing now in the 6th month, you celebrate that. You paid your dues. You stayed with an addict. Now that he's cleaned up, cash that check. You know? Don't say in the past he did. You're doing this now, and I love this about you now, and this is so wonderful, and I am so happy, and this is so fantastic. You feed the good and don't keep bringing up the negative. You know, revel in what is instead of lamenting what was. You need to take your position in between her and the world that would judge her and say, no more. Because it's not that. She was a victim of that. But that's not who she was. That wasn't her character. That wasn't her value. If she thinks you think she's the most fantastic thing in the world, the extensions won't be as necessary. If she thinks that you think that she is good and kind and loving and trustworthy, she won't worry about how she looks and what she is, because she's had to worry about that all along. Let's take that off of her. You be the hero in her life. You be Superman that has come in and said, baby, I've taken you away from all that. I know that's not who you are. I know that's where you've been. That's what other people have done to you. But I know you're better than that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Y'all need to get passionate and excited about the turn that you've made in your life. People will wallow in what was, but most people can't step out of the past that you have. But you did. You've done the hard work. Spike the ball. Celebrate you know what I mean? You've done fantastic things. And I think the extent that the world does not acknowledge and recognize you, to heck with them. To heck with them. You celebrate one another. Your boys come to you with that nonsense. Hey, don't talk about my wife like that. You don't know her. Back up off that stuff. You know what I mean? Treat her like the queen that she is. Treat him like the new king that he is. Be happy together, love one another, and tell the world they can, well, you know. This matter is adjourned.
What I learned in court today, what I'm going to start doing different is I'm going to actually defend her when people bring stuff up about her. You know, I'm going to always support her and everything, and I'm going to keep staying away from the wrong people and keep doing the right thing.
To all the women out there that have been through what I've been through, I've been through, you know, abuse, molest, I've been an escort, domestic relationships, pretty much all of the above. I guess some advice I can give to you guys is just stay strong, and you're worth way more than what you're being put through, and just realize it. Realize it and embrace it.